Senior columnist with the Arizona Republic. I'm here with Megan Cassidy, a reporter, and we have new developments in the case of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who has now been officially charged. What does that mean?
It really means what happened is exactly what we thought was going to happen since about 2 weeks ago when federal prosecutors announced that they would pursue charges. That was the first major step, that official announcement, but then a couple more things had to happen. The prosecutors had to submit the charges, and then afterwards Arpaio's attorneys found some issues in the wording. Judge Susan Bolton has looked over the wording, and then she issued her official order to show cause, which is uses the charging document here.
Which means they now set a trial date?
They have set a trial date. It is December 6th.
But that may or may not change as well, right? There's things that are going to be going on behind closed doors.
Yes, I have learned with this case, a lot of things can change. A lot of things can get extended, but it seems like, especially for this contempt portion of this long, drawn-out racial profiling case, everything is moving a lot faster for some reason than anything else has.
Now, what people will obviously want to know is worst-case scenario, if the sheriff is found guilty of what he's been charged with now, what's the worst thing that could happen to him? 6 months
in jail. And it is still somewhat unclear, oddly enough, whether this is going to be a felony or a misdemeanor. A felony can force an official out of office in Arizona. A misdemeanor cannot. Because the maximum penalty is 6 months in jail, that everybody's assuming, including his attorneys, everyone's assuming that it's a misdemeanor, but we're really not clear.
So there's still a lot to be resolved about it. All we know for sure right now is the sheriff is still in trouble.
Yes.
Today, I came to
Someone upstairs is looking out for me, more ways than one. I've had a few threats. Okay, I'm still alive. And some of you may say, sure, because the paper says that every time they put my name, they have to put comma, 84 years old. And it's like my name is Joe Arpaio, 84. I don't know. I don't know. That stupid computer, I don't even have a computer. I got a Smith Corona typewriter. I got this thing here, it's called a flip-flopper. I don't have emails, Actually, Hillary should be doing what I do. I don't have emails. So, yeah. I don't know what that means. It's supposed to flip a thing. I don't even know how to work it. It's a telephone. I got a Smith Corona typewriter. Yay. I got a Smith Wesson gun and a Smith Corona typewriter. Actually, the typewriter is more powerful than the gun. Power of the word. So it's an exciting job. Now, Sheriff, how do you stay young? Because people do. By the way, I cheated a little. I knew I was coming here. I knew the camera would be here. Figured it out. So I just had garbage put on me for my 2 TV thing. So I may look a little younger right now. I didn't take it off. Why should I take it off? So I did. You know, I did the So, Sheriff, why do you keep doing this? You're 84 years old. 4 years ago, I was 80 when I got elected. And I said then, I'm running again. And I ran down the next day, I signed up again. Okay, I kept my promise. Here I am. Now, thanks to all of you, if you help me, and I get elected on November 8th, I am going to announce for all those people think I'm a lame duck, I'm going down and I'm signing up again. I'm going to do that.
DOJ to pursue criminal contempt charge against Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Arpaio officially charged with criminal contempt. Pipe 155 with a federal judge's signature on a proposed order initially submitted by prosecutors October 17. The deal is sealed. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio is criminally charged with federal contempt of court. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio was officially charged Tuesday with criminal contempt of court when a federal judge affixed her signature, a formality that throws the lawman's political and personal future into a level of crisis never before seen in his 23 years in office. Criminal contempt charges have loomed over Arpaio since 2015. A criminal trial was the worst-case scenario for the sheriff after he admitted to violating a federal judge's order to stop enforcing civil immigration laws. U.S. District Court Judge Susan Bolton's order was signed 2 weeks before the general election, in which Arpaio is running for his 7th term. A trial is set for December 6 in U.S. District Court in Phoenix. If he's convicted, the 84-year-old sheriff could face up to 6 months in jail. While symbolic, the order does little to illuminate the case's potential outcomes. It remains unclear whether the charge against Arpaio is a misdemeanor or felony. If convicted of a felony, under state law, the sheriff would have to resign his office, which could cost the sheriff his job even if he is re-elected. Defense attorney Mel McDonald said Bolton's order was disappointing, but expected. We plan on vigorously contesting each and every one of the allegations in the order to show cause, he said. The threat of criminal prosecution became increasingly inevitable after a prolonged series of hearings last year. A federal judge's finding of civil contempt came in May 2016, followed by his referral for criminal prosecution in August, followed by the U.S. Department of Justice's announcement on October 11 that its attorneys would, in fact, prosecute Arpaio. A proposed order initially was submitted by prosecutors October 17. Judge explains the path to the criminal charge. Bolton's filing walks through 5 years of the sheriff's resistance to her colleague, U.S. District Court Judge G. Murray Snow, who has presided over the long racial profiling case out of which the criminal contempt charge grew. The document alleges Arpaio was more interested in maintaining his famed tough-on-immigration persona than following Snow's orders. A's Central. Can Sheriff Joe Arpaio win re-election in the face of a criminal contempt referral? His deputies continued to arrest and deliver undocumented immigrants to federal authorities when there were no state charges against them, long after Snow banned the practice. Judge Snow concluded that Sheriff Arpaio did so based on the notoriety he received for, and the campaign donations he received because of, his immigration enforcement activity, Bolton wrote. Bolton bolsters the allegation with testimony from last year's hearings. The practice, she notes, continued even after Arpaio's attorneys advised him to stop. The sheriff at various points told his attorneys they would revise their protocol or, falsely, that the sheriff's office was already in compliance. A's Central Justice Department files proposed contempt charge against Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. After exhausting all of its other methods to obtain compliance, Judge Snow referred Sheriff Arpaio's intentional and continuing non-compliance to another judge to determine whether he should be held in criminal contempt, Bolton concludes. On Tuesday, neither prosecutors nor defense attorneys could say for certain whether the contempt charge was a felony or a misdemeanor. Bolton has previously implied the latter, agreeing that a maximum penalty of 6 months in jail would be appropriate for Arpaio if he were convicted. I think for all intents and purposes it could be deemed a misdemeanor, McDonald, Arpaio's attorney, said. I haven't seen any place where the government has called it that, but the request for 6 months or less, typically that's misdemeanor territory. Peter Carr, a spokesman for the Department of Justice, said Bolton would be the one to make that call. Although Justice Department attorneys are prosecuting the case, the official charge is leveled by the court. McDonald has requested a jury trial for the sheriff. Charge assailed as politically motivated. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio talks about his age, computers and running for re-election at a Believers in Trump meeting October 20, 2016, at Lydia's La Canasta in Wickenburg. Mark Hennell / The Republic. Arpaio could not immediately be reached for comment. In past statements, the sheriff has assailed the charge as a politically motivated plot to derail his chances at re-election. The sheriff aired his grievances in a recent campaign commercial. "You know, this latest action by Obama and his Department of Justice is all about illegal immigration, period," he tells the camera, against a photo backdrop of the president, former Attorney General Eric Holder and current Attorney General Loretta Lynch. "They've been after me since day one, for doing my job." Arpaio and his supporters said it was no coincidence that the Justice Department announced the charge on the eve of early voting. In an emailed statement, campaign manager Chad Willems said the president's Justice Department was continuing its efforts to influence the local election. The department's actions in the last 30 days before the election are further attempts to sabotage Sheriff Arpaio in his bid for a 7th unprecedented term as Maricopa County Sheriff. "It is clear from the timing that the Department of Justice is merely a political tool of a corrupt administration," the statement said. "Justice plays no part in this department's actions and clear political motivations. It's possible the charge has swayed some voters." An Arizona Republic poll conducted as news of the charge broke showed Arpaio trailing Democratic challenger Paul Penzoni by nearly 15 points. Charge grew from racial profiling case. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn photos. Sheriff Joe Arpaio through the years. Full screen Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio as seen in 1993. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio as seen in 1993. The Republic full screen Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio as seen in 1993.1 of 11. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio talks with media. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio talks about the Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio talks to reporters. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio gives a press conference. Maricopa County Sheriff Officer Joe Arpaio gestures. Presiding disciplinary judge William O'Neill swears. Sheriff Joe Arpaio denied any wrongdoing. In response, Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio stands behind his Sheriff Joe Arpaio and his attorneys hold a press conference. Sheriff Joe Arpaio responds to questions in 2012 after next slide 11 photos. Sheriff Joe Arpaio through the years. The charges are rooted in a 9-year-old racial profiling case against the sheriff's office. Plaintiffs, including the American Civil Liberties Union, allege that the sheriff's signature immigration patrols violated Latinus constitutional rights. In December 2011, months before the trial was to begin, Snow issued a preliminary injunction over the sheriff's office. The order banned deputies from detaining anyone solely on suspicion they were undocumented immigrants, and without cause to believe a crime had been committed. Arpaio's attorney boiled the order into simpler terms: arrest or release, he told his client at the time. In May 2013, Snow officially determined the office had racially profiled Latinos. The following months would introduce multi-million-dollar reforms to the sheriff's office, including anti-bias training, recording devices for deputies, and a court-appointed monitor to ensure the agency followed the letter of the law. But information emerged that the office continued to detain undocumented immigrants for at least 18 months after the judge's preliminary order, up to May 2013 and maybe beyond. Arpaio's attorneys didn't deny the violations, but they said the mistakes were unintentional. Plaintiffs' attorneys, who pointed to Arpaio's hardline rhetoric on illegal immigration, argued otherwise. The violations, along with 2 other allegations of the office failing to properly turn over evidence, would amount to contempt of court. A finding of accidental missteps would lead to civil contempt, while deliberate defiance could mean criminal contempt and potentially jail time. In August, Snow referred the case to federal prosecutors for consideration of criminal contempt charges. He recommended 3 separate allegations of criminal charges for Arpaio, although Justice Department prosecutors for now only have chosen to pursue 1. Arpaio also may face a charge of obstruction of justice. Anti-Arpaio event at Partners and Allied Trades International Union full screen. An Anti-Arpaio sign marks a group's meeting place at an Anti-Arpaio sign marks a group's meeting place at a canvassing event at Partners and Allied Trades International Union in Phoenix on Saturday, October 22, 2016. Volunteers turned out from the Valley, Tucson, Los Angeles and more to get out the vote against Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Ben Moffat / The Republic full screen.